There are 4,218 PS2 games, and I'm beating every one of them. I've got to own the game because I'm playing everything on the original hardware, but I've beefed it up with a RetroTink 5X, some component cables, and more to come soon. Can I do this before I die of old age? I hope so. SOCOM U.S. Navy SEALs Combined Assault was developed by Zipper Interactive and released in the U.S. November of 2006. Sadly, the last installment of the SOCOM series on the PS2 featured here was online multiplayer and co-op game modes. This third-person tactical was turned into more of an arcade feel, as the player can run and gun with various weapons and attachments. Sitting at a Metacritic score of 72 out of 100, while the gameplay felt solid and online modes were fun, a lack of tactical options and objectives left many wanting more. Can we beat this multiplayer co-op? SOCOM Combined Assault was a little special because we were able to play this game online co-op all 18 missions, and I was joined by Tuna and Johnny to do the whole thing, which was a lot of fun. It was very worth getting it all set up, which didn't really take that long, but once we got it set up, we were able to play for quite some time, and just so you know, two of us, myself and Tuna, used an emulator while Johnny used the actual console, and we were able to play with no issues. The only difference is that his game, Johnny's game, would lag in FPS just a little bit since it was the actual console, while Tuna and I had none of that because on emulator is able to fix all those problems. So that's it. Otherwise, it was perfect. We were able to play the whole thing with almost no issues at all. So let's get on to the shorter journey for this game. Once getting everything set up, you are then allowed to pick your first mission or play multiplayer if you'd like, and we chose the Commander difficulty, which I believe was right in the middle. And once you are able to select your missions, you will have a choice between a few, although the very first mission is a single mission. So once you get through a mission, you'll have choices, you make the choices, and eventually you do all 18 anyway. Doesn't matter which ones you want to do, you gotta do them all. Before starting the mission, you get to select your whole kit that you'll bring in with you. You get to select your main gun, your secondary gun, and 2 extras, as well as any attachments you'd like to have. This is pretty cool, although I believe in the original game you didn't have all this stuff unlocked for you. I'm not sure, but I have to assume that some of this stuff had to have been unlocked to actually use it. Not that it gave us that big of an advantage, because we all used different weapons every time we played, which was kind of fun to see which weapons worked the best. There is a suppressor for tactical combat, however, most of the time I find myself using just a scope, a small red dot, and extra clips so that I could fire more bullets. And I carried with me a medkit and armor almost every single time. There are a few times I changed for helicopters, like a rocket launcher, and I kept the medkits every single time because in this game medkits are very helpful, and the other things just aren't. You can run and gun pretty easily without needing all of the extra things, so a medkit's nice if you make a mistake, or you have a teammate that either needs healing, and they don't have their own medkits, or they are downed. You can heal a downed teammate before they are completely out of the match, as long as you have a medkit. Once inside of a mission, you get to see all of the things that are inside of each individual map, and you'll see a list of objectives in your tactical map, and you will also see a mini-map at the top right corner. You'll see your gun, you'll see everyone else's health in the bottom right corner, and their connection, as well as whether or not they're talking on their mic, because this game does allow you to talk through the mic in the game. Here's your tactical map, and this will show you exactly what to do and where to do it, which does feel like it gives you a little too much information, although it was nice because the maps are a decent size and the 3 of us were having fun just kind of going and blowing through stuff. But if you're looking for a more tactical experience, this just isn't it. It will show you where to go and what to do. You go there and you do a couple of different things. A lot of times you'll clear out enemies from an area, you will find survivors and either help them back to someplace or just secure them. You will secure enemies who you need to make them drop their weapons, or you'll need to interact with something in the environment, say planting C4 on something. Most of the time, these are the several objectives that you'll see in every single mission several times. And while that's not a bad thing, it doesn't give you very much of a tactical choice. Most of the time you go in, you take care of things, and that's it. You can play the entire game in either first or third person, or switch back and forth between them depending on the situation. A lot of times third person's easier to see around corners, obviously having the shoulder advantage as well as being able to rotate the camera, and first person's helpful for if you're just trying to focus on someone right in front of you. But first person is also, for some reason, the only way that you can see through things like night vision. I don't know why they have it set up like that, but it would not let us look through night vision until we had gone into first person, which is fine, I suppose. And then of course all of the aim down sight stuff generally has, if you have a scope, first person. And then every other one, like the red dot, is third person, which is kind of cool. And this makes the game feel a little bit more tactical, but again, a lot of it's just go forward and shoot. The missions are okay in variation, although many times you'll see browns and grays across the environment, and including corridors inside of buildings, so it'll be very samey sometimes. But a mission like this one, where we're on the water going between different islands with a boat, it's pretty neat. I like it. There's a couple snow missions, there's a couple outside missions, there's a couple inside missions. Even though this game feels more arcadey than usual, you can still take it in a tactical way, where in a section like this, many enemies sitting outside could have been flashbanged, when then we ran out and killed all of them much easier. But we were just running through having a good time. And if that's not the kind of thing you like in a SOCOM game, which completely makes sense, then you probably don't want to stop here for this one. It is much more run and gun. A lot of the secondary pieces of equipment that you get, like flashbangs and smoke grenades, just don't do enough, whereas the armor and the med kits, every time you carry them, they are useful in every situation. You can just run and gun with them and get all the way through the mission and even heal your allies, especially if you're playing online. It's the most fun thing about it, being able to help each other out with things. But you can't really help each other out very many times with 2 flashbangs. But 3 med kits and some armor can get you all the way through the mission. Here, I really thought we had the advantage by pulling the car up and getting out and hiding behind it and shooting these guys. However, the second we showed up, they were able to fire through the windows and kill both Johnny and Tuna, which was pretty hilarious. And then they joked I wasn't allowed to drive again, but then I ended up driving again because I was the one who wanted to. Now, this game does have a story attached to it, although for some reason the multiplayer missions don't always have all of the cutscenes associated with them, meaning that you have to read the little briefing if you want to learn anything about what you're doing. The problem too is that it just feels very disconnected for me in this fashion. I didn't really feel like I understood what was going on, and most of this is just SOCOM stuff, right? You're rescuing people, you're assassinating a leader of a terrorist organization, you're stopping a C4 explosion, or creating a C4 explosion. It just feels very much like, here's some cool war stuff, go do it in this new game. This mission on the docks was a little bit difficult because there were some hostages hidden behind doors with 2 or 3 guys in the room at a time. Now, if we had been able to do this over, we may have brought flashbangs, but in the end, a lot of it was 2 of us on either side of the door, opening the door quickly and then taking out the terrorists as quick as we could and saving the hostages. And if they got shot, well, some of the objectives in this game can actually be failed and still be able to complete the mission, which is kind of cool, but most of the time it's generally things like a helicopter escaping you if you missed it with a rocket, which, you know, I suppose that could change the story in some way, but we don't actually know because, again, the cutscenes just weren't there for the stories, so it may have changed something, it may not have. In the end, we were able to complete all 18 missions. Shoot him.
Whoa!
What happened? I'm clipping that. What the shit? You just flung your shotgun up and then reeled back and was very dramatic. And you lost like... To be honest with you, I'm going to give this game a C tier, a game that I still recommend to play because it's fun and the online portion is great. Playing co-op is fun, and you can even play competitive multiplayer modes where there are a few people playing and you can join in on the game and have a good time. It's pretty easy to pick up and play, and it's not too hard to set up where you can play it as much as you want online with your friends on a real PS2 or on an emulator, whatever you want to do. I'm going to keep this video shorter because honestly the game was short, about 5 or 6 hours long with the 3 of us, and there was very little in the way of extra stuff. It was all just run and gun, do the objectives on a map, and it's finished, with a few, just a few cutscenes for us to watch. And even then, it didn't give us enough context, which maybe the single player does, but it's totally worth playing this online because this is the lower scored of the SOCOM games. You might as well find a way to have fun with it because it can be kind of fun to play with other people. You can still take it tactically if you want. There's snipers, there's long range weapons, there's short range weapons, you have flashbangs and smoke grenades, but it will never be quite as tactical as the original 3 SOCOM games. So sadly, I'll have to give it a C for that. It would have been more fun had it been more tactical, a little bit more challenging, but just a little too easy for us. So thank you so much for watching this video. I appreciate if you watched it all the way through. I know there wasn't very much, but there wasn't very much to the game. Still a recommended game, but there wasn't much. Thank you to anyone who has ever donated or who has become a member. You guys have made these videos all possible. This is the first non-request game in a while, but it was because we could play it multiplayer, so it'll also be something we can play in the future as multiplayer weekends, so that'll be cool. And thank you to anyone in the stream who hung out with us while we played and did silly things and enjoyed ourselves, and I hope you guys all enjoyed it. So thank you so much. I'll be back for video 108 soon. Later.